realistic. They were kind of blank. So I've seen the faces for Skyrim. They're very, very good. They're more realistic. They're more gritty. They're more real. They're more expressive. They're more weathered in a lot of cases. Draw distance greatly increased, allowing for little to no grid pattern or low resolution distant point. Speed tree is not used. They've created their own platform that allows artists to build whatever kind of trees they want and to dictate how they animate. Artists can alter the weight of the branches to adjust how much they move in the wind. That is such attention to detail, unbelievable, which is an effective way of, for instance, actualizing the danger of traversing steep mountain passes with howling winds violently shaking branches. So that adds to the whole atmosphere. And the Elder Scrolls games have always been awesome at making forests. That's one of the best things they've been doing in their RPG series. It's just such amazing environments. The forests are just the best I've ever seen in any game, so they're definitely not taking any steps back with Skyrim here. They're taking steps forward to make it even better, so that's just unbelievable. We've got Jeremy Soule composing the music, which is awesome. He composed the Morrowind theme. He composed a lot of the music for the Elder Scrolls games. That's awesome. Voice actors Max von Sydow, Esbern. I don't actually know these people, so right, sound, here we go. Voice actors Max von Sydow, Esbern in brackets. I don't know any of these people, as I was saying. I don't know their names. I assume there'll be some of the people who voice acted Fallout 3 and Oblivion, who in my opinion were good voice actors. They brought a lot of character to the characters, yeah. So Brandon Ellison, General. If any of these names don't mean anything to you, I don't know, but they don't really mean anything to me. Anthony DeLongis, Mercier Frey. I don't really read the credits or anything usually in these games. Rob Locke, commoner / additional voices. I think he might be the one who did the voices for a lot of the people in Oblivion also, so that's good. Commoner and additional voices. Lanny Minella, Dark Elf Night Mother Nocturne. So hopefully some of these people will have been the people who voice acted like the Night Mother and Nocturne from Oblivion. So it's nice to see the Night Mother and Nocturne are returning for Skyrim. We've got Wes Johnson, Linda Carter, Craig Shelcher, Jim Cummings, Gideon Emery, Mark Mack, Neil Redguards, Michael Mack. I hope that's that same guy who does he did the Arena Master. He was the Redguard, so he did the Redguard voices. Yeah, it was nice. He had a nice soft voice, nice, but when he shouted it was authoritative. Jonathan Bryce, Mail Khajiit, Argonian. Hopefully that's the same guy. I'm pretty sure these are the same guys who voice acted Oblivion. I mean, it would keep it consistent, but even though the image has changed of the characters, the voice should stay the same, I think. Reese C. Hartwig, young male. I mean, if I was involved in anything like this, if I was a voice actor, I'd definitely want to stick with it. So let's hope so. Christopher Plummer, Arn Gear, Arngeir. Joan Allen, Delphine. Lydia Carter, Gormalith, Golden Hilt. Michael Hogan, Imperial General Tullius. Vladimir Kulich, Ulfric Stormcloak. Claudia Christian, Legate Rick. Dan Rose, Dan Louise Salinger, Reese Fisher, George Cooley. There are about 70 voice actors in total. Pretty good. Approximately 60,000 lines of voice acted dialogue. That's pretty good. Hopefully it has as much voice acted dialogue as the previous game. Hopefully even more, in fact, because it's nice to get, instead of them repeating the same thing over and over, if you meet a different person who has a higher opinion of you, if you've maxed their disposition to you, they'll have a different dialogue for you. They'll have something different to say to you, instead of just saying the same thing. Oh hello, oh hello. I mean, they did somewhat in Oblivion, said, oh you, what? They just said what to you sometimes if they really didn't like you. What do you want? filthy snowman or something to say. So hopefully that'll continue on and get even more deeper, hopefully, or have more dialogue, because more dialogue has more depth also. 60,000 lines seems like a lot, but it is a big game, so I don't know if it's that much, but hopefully it is enough. And I don't want to see any text without voice. That's one thing I do not want to see. I want to see all the text voice acted. So your character will shout, laugh, and make combat grunts. That's cool. So he won't be voiceless like he was in Oblivion, but he probably won't say anything. He'll just shout the words of power and laugh. Maybe you can emote in this one and grunt during combat like he did in Oblivion. I suppose he did grunt in Oblivion. If you're playing he or she, you know. In first person, the HUD comes and goes when needed. This is the interface now, so that's good. So if you're just wandering about, the HUD will disappear, so you won't have a big nasty thing in your screen, so you can actually get awesome views if you're just traveling through the forest, if you're not engaged in combat. If you're just strolling through the forest, which is nice to do. I mean, the forests in Oblivion are amazing. I mean, in Oblivion were amazing, and in Skyrim I'm sure they'll be amazing. I've seen the footage, it looks amazing, so cannot wait for that, to try that out and just wander through the forests aimlessly. Third person has been improved, even with crosshair now. When opening the menu, I never use third person anyway, unless I'm just looking at my character. I always want to play in first person perspective. It makes it more like you're actually there playing, or you're in the environment, so it's more immersive. When opening the menu, instead of returning you to the last page you visited, as it did in Oblivion, you are presented with a simple compass interface that offers 4 options. Right, inventory; left, magical items; down, maps and quests; up, skills. That's good, but it's kind of console optimized. I mean, you have 4 buttons on your arrow pad on your gamepad, but I suppose you do have 4 arrows on your keyboard also, so it'd be kind of nice if it's done with the up, down, left, right arrow. Instead of relegating prayers to looking at an item's name and stats attributes, each possession is a tangible 3-dimensional item with its own unique qualities. So you can like look at an item. It showed you that in the demo, the Skyrim demo that Todd Howard showed off. So you had like the card, he was rotating it and looking at it, and you had the shield, you could rotate it and look at the back of it, look at the front of it, zoom in and out of it. So it's quite nice. You can actually look at items in detail and see all the little details of it. Yeah, sorry. Mapping: anything from your spell library or your inventory can be bookmarked to the favorites menu with the press of a button. I think I've read that before. How many items appear in that menu is up to each player, so you can actually determine how many, instead of just having like 1 to 9, 1 to 10, whatever it was in Oblivion. You can have even more, like key bindings hopefully, so that'll be good. The map is a zoomed out version of the game world. Yeah, I don't know how they're doing the cloth map, the pre-order bonus. I actually ordered the hard copy to get the cloth map, but I'm not actually sure how that's going to work, because the map's a zoomed out version of the game world. Is the map going to be a zoomed out version? The cloth map, the physical cloth map. Quest markers can be turned off. The health, stamina and magicka bars are hidden when full. That's cool. HUD opacity can be turned down to 0, so you can actually choose to keep that on or turn it off. That's pretty nice. And you can determine the opacity of it. Nice. Environment: Skyrim hosts a very unique landscape and dungeons. There are 5 major cities. That's cool. Solitude, Riften, Whiterun, Windhelm and Markarth. Windhelm being the largest, so that's like the Imperial City, I guess, for Skyrim, where the Imperial City was the main city in Oblivion. I think they had more than 5 cities in Oblivion, didn't they? But some of them were small. Oh right, it says here there are 8 or 9 smaller towns, so that's good. There wasn't really smaller towns in Oblivion, it was just like cities, but there weren't. Some of them were like towns, I suppose, because like some of them were that small. Like they only had a couple of shops, a couple of houses, so that would be considered a town, wouldn't it, instead of a city. So if there's 5 major cities, is that like big cities? And then Windhelm's like a big hub city. And then 8 or 9 smaller towns are like the smaller cities that were in Oblivion, perhaps. Or maybe they were considered towns in Oblivion. There are more than 130 dungeons, and there was only one maybe city in Oblivion, true city, that was the Imperial City. There are more than 130 dungeons ranging from 15 minutes to 2 hours long. Wow, now that would be a dungeon crawl, 2 hours long. There are over 100 points of interest across Skyrim, including giant camps, necromancer lairs, and altars to different gods, Aedra and Deirdre. Aedra and Daedra, that's nice. The Areal, A-R-E-A-L, is approximately the size of Oblivion's Cyrodiil, but the rugged landscapes make the world bigger, as you will need to go over or around mountains to get anywhere. So you've got massive mountains in this game, so that makes the game a whole lot bigger, because there's actually stuff on the mountains, and on the top of the mountains is the really hard dungeons apparently, or the top tier stuff. So you start at the bottom and work your way up. Pretty much that's what Todd Hard said, but I don't know how that'll work in reality. Like, will you have to climb mountains every time once you get to the higher levels instead of staying at the bottom? Or can you just mix it up? I suppose you can mix it up no matter what, but like, probably the main quest will be at the very top of some mountain, the highest mountain in the game, I'd assume. Traps and puzzles are used to make dungeons more interesting. They took that sort of from Dungeons and Dragons, the online game. They have a lot of traps and puzzles in that, and it adds another dimension to the game also. It's like a Tomb Raider sort of style, solving the puzzles, although they're more in depth, they're more Dungeons and Dragons style, I'm sure. Fish jump out of water, that's cool, and when swimming you can even catch fish. Wow, now that sounds very interesting. I don't know if you get a pole or not, but probably you can just catch them with your hands, or with a pole, or with a spear or something like that. That would be pretty cool. Oh my god, birds fly in the air above you. Yes, we have birds, confirmed. Excellent. But is that just in the air above you, so they don't actually land? So you'll just see like the outline of a bird maybe? I don't know if you can shoot them down or anything. It would be cool if you could, because I don't know why, I just like that in the game. I would like that. And I'd like them to land like a couple of meters ahead of you and then take off, like in The Witcher 2 they did that. Anyway, every town has its own economic system. If you destroy a city's means of income, they'll need to buy from another nearby city, and prices in the city will go up, or some products will not be available in that city at all. So you can affect the economic system by buying and selling stuff. That'll be very interesting. So once they run out of an item, you can sell at extortionate prices to them. And if you did that for every city, you'd be making some serious cash, probably. So it'll be very interesting to try and manipulate that to benefit to the max from that, you know. That'll be another interesting aspect that adds a whole nother layer of depth to the game. Every big settlement has its own unique culture and architecture. Nice. Dwemer ruins are scattered across Skyrim, so no Dwemer, but Dwemer ruins again. High Hrothgar has 7,000 steps. Wow, that's pretty damn high actually. 7,000 steps. Some locations will have enemies that are too strong for you and have to come back from when you're more powerful, while some places will have weaker enemies. I think I read that. You can knock oil lamps to the ground or set fire to oil. Wow, that's an aspect they took from Dungeons, what was it called? Might and Magic, was it? No, it wasn't Might and Magic, it was hang on, it was Dark Messiah, Might and Magic. Yeah, they had that sort of thing in the game, a sort of gimmick, but you could also kick people in the fire and stuff. And I don't know if they actually had oil which you could set fire to, but it was similar. That's going to be very interesting, like having oil on the floor. You just throw your torch at it or something, or just knock a lamp on the floor, set fire to a building maybe even. Cause the ground to burn and deal fire damage. So you can actually use that against enemies, hopefully. That'll be pretty cool. Butterflies will fly around flowers which can be picked for alchemical purposes. Nice. Always good to see alchemy there. Major cities are in their own cells, so to enter a loading screen will appear. So they're celled. The rest of the game is supposed to be open. You can enter, like a dungeon doesn't have a door anymore. There are hidden caves, hidden ships and secrets in the water. Good. I love secrets in these type of games. I love them. and I'm looking forward to exploring and just finding random stuff. How are you?